Delivering on road and rail infrastructure for northern parts of England, which voted Conservative, is thought to be one of the government's main priorities, and a decision on the high-speed rail link HS2 is due. The naturalist and TV presenter Chris Packham has been campaigning against HS2 for some time. He features in a new video to be released tomorrow, and he's on the line now. Good morning.
Good morning.
And the video is called Stand for the Trees. It's about the woodland along the route.
Yes, we have many environmental concerns, but one of the principal ones we have is about the destruction of ancient woodlands that we have. More than 100 of these will be damaged by the project if it goes ahead. We know that we've acknowledged that we're living in a climate environment emergency, and that includes our biodiversity and those parts of our landscape which are responsible for maintaining all of that life. We can't at this stage justify willy-nilly destroying them, and the mitigation that's been offered if the project goes ahead is not sufficient to cope with the damage.
The planting of new trees. HS2 Limited says it's going to plant 7 million trees and shrubs, creating more hectares of wildlife habitat, or a third greater than there is today.
But as you know, Michelle, if you cut down a tree which is 100 to 200 years old or even older, you can't replace it with a little sprig of a sapling, which may or may not survive. And HS2 have already begun their tree planting scheme, and in its first year, 48% of the trees that they put in the ground were dead by the end of the year. It's not the mitigation that's required. There's no ambiguity about that, and that's why we're standing up for the trees. And our video, which represents the concerns of a number of the country's NGOs, who collectively have 100 million members, is drawing attention to the fact that this is just one of a number of very serious environmental issues which are compromised by this project.
Yeah, but the campaign is called Rethink HS2 rather than Scrap. Does that mean rethink the route?
Rethinking the route is now a possibility because the engineers have acknowledged that the trains will not be able to travel as fast as they needed to travel. And the route itself was chosen to make it as straight as possible for obvious reasons. If you're going to go very fast, you need to have it straight. If we're not going that fast anymore, perhaps there's an opportunity to put some bends in it to avoid some of these sites.
So you're not objecting to the idea of a high-speed rail link?
We're not objecting to the development of a better transport infrastructure, whether it's to the north or anywhere else. We're going to need that going forward. What we need is a transport infrastructure which is as carbon neutral as possible and as efficient as possible. And we believe that the £100 billion, potentially the £100 billion that will be spent on this project, could be better spent in upgrading the road systems and the rail systems that we have at the moment, principally the rail, of course.
Right. I mean, you'll know what many leaders in the North and the Midlands, many local councillors from Leeds, Nottingham, Newcastle and elsewhere say that poor connections is what has held them back. And I appreciate that you are saying you are in favour of better connections, but it is the potential offered by this link in particular, as it's envisaged at the moment, that they have welcomed, that they say will create 500,000 new jobs, 100,000 new homes.
It's all very well having 500,000 new jobs and new homes, but how are we going to be living in them if we continue to damage our environment? We know that we've got 10 years to sort this out. The carbon footprint of HS2 will not be carbon neutral for many, many years into the future. And as a consequence of that, if we're seriously thinking about the future of our lives in the north or the south, we have to invest now immediately in addressing these climate and environment emergencies. And that's why we'd like people to go to standforthetrees.org, sign up and become part of a movement which wants to rethink this outdated white elephant, which was conceived at a time when we didn't have that general awareness of the critical urgency of addressing environmental issues in the way that we now do.